Someone took a screenshot of your message, and you will probably never know about it. That quiet click feels small, but psychology suggests it reveals something much deeper inside them. People who screenshot chats without telling you are not always doing it out of malice or cruelty. Sometimes they are scared, sometimes they are curious, and sometimes they are quietly building a private case. By the end of this, you will understand the hidden pattern behind that silent, secretive little habit. You will see what their nervous system is really doing in that exact moment of capture. You will also learn how to recognize this behavior earlier before it ever affects your peace. Let's start with something most people miss about the screenshot itself as a psychological act. A screenshot is not just a picture. It is an attempt to freeze emotional reality in place. When someone screenshots your words, they are trying to hold a feeling they cannot fully process yet. They want proof, comfort, validation, or sometimes ammunition for a conversation happening somewhere else entirely. Psychology suggests this behavior often appears in people who feel emotionally unsafe inside the conversation itself. They do not trust the moment, so they secretly preserve it, hoping it will explain itself later. This quiet act reveals a hidden tension between what they show you and what they truly feel. On the surface, they seem calm, friendly, casual, even warm, replying like nothing unusual is happening. But underneath, their mind is collecting evidence, scanning your words, measuring tone, comparing every subtle detail. That is the first seeker pattern. They are not only listening, they are quietly archiving you. Now here's where it gets more revealing and slightly uncomfortable if you look at it honestly. Many chronic screenshotters share one trait: they struggle to handle emotions in real time alone. When something you say stirs them, they freeze internally and reach for their phone instead. The screenshot becomes a way to outsource the feeling to someone else, usually a trusted friend. They send it asking, "What do you think they meant by this?" or "Am I overreacting?" That is not always betrayal. Sometimes it is emotional regulation through other people's opinions and reactions. But it still reveals something subtle. They cannot fully sit with discomfort without external validation. Their self-worth is partly outsourced, so your words must be reviewed by a small private jury. This is why the same person can love you and still screenshot you behind your back. It is not about loyalty, it is about their inability to digest emotions in private silence. Now consider the second hidden layer, the one connected to control and quiet power inside relationships. Some people screenshot because they want a record they can use later, if needed, against you. They are not necessarily plotting, they are protecting themselves from a future version of you they fear. Psychology calls this defensive documentation, common in people who have been hurt, blamed, or gaslit before. They learn that words disappear, memories blur, and their feelings get dismissed the moment they speak up. So they save your messages just in case, hoping to never need them, but ready anyway. The screenshot becomes a quiet shield, built from past wounds rather than from your actual present behavior. You can often spot this person by how carefully they choose their own words in chat. They write like someone who knows their messages might be read by someone other than you. That subtle caution, that polished tone, that strange formality often signals a person who archives conversations. It is not paranoia. It is a nervous system that learns safety through evidence, not through trust. Understanding this changes how you read their silence, their pauses, and their sudden shifts in tone. Now let's talk about the third pattern, which is more emotional and far less talked about openly. Some people screenshot because they secretly want to remember how someone made them feel in moments. A kind message, a vulnerable confession, a flirtatious line, a rare apology, a sentence that hit deeply. They capture it the way others press flowers, hoping the feeling will not fade with time. This kind of screenshotter is not collecting evidence. They are collecting emotional anchors for lonely nights. It often reveals a quiet fear that good moments will not last or will be denied later. They want proof that the warmth was real, that they did not imagine being seen and valued. Psychology suggests this is common in people with unstable early attachments or inconsistent emotional history. When love came and went unpredictably, they learned to grab proof while the connection still felt real. So that screenshot of your sweet message is not creepy. It is a small act of self-soothing. But it still reveals something deeper. They do not yet trust the permanence of being loved. You are not strange for sensing it, and they are not broken for needing it that way. It just shows that their inner sense of safety is still being built one captured moment at a time. Now let's look at the fourth pattern, which is sharper, more social, and more about quiet status. Some people screenshot conversations to share them with others, not for help, but for entertainment value. Your awkward message, your bold confession, Your typo, your overshare, becomes content in someone else's group chat. This is the screenshotter who turns intimacy into performance, often without realizing how cruel it actually is. They do not see your words as sacred. They see them as material, as something to react to. Psychology suggests this often comes from people who feel invisible and use other people's vulnerability for relevance. By forwarding your private moment, they borrow attention from a story that was never theirs to tell. It is not always loud betrayal. Sometimes it is a quiet leak, drop by drop, message by message. You may never know it happened. You only feel it through small shifts in how others treat you. A new coldness, a strange joke, a knowing glance, a friend who suddenly seems to know too much. That is the subtle fingerprint of a screenshot that traveled further than you ever imagined it could. Here is the harder truth. They do not fear your honesty. They fear missing a moment to share it. This pattern reveals a person whose self-worth depends on being interesting at someone else's emotional expense. Now consider the fifth layer, which connects deeply to anxiety, overthinking, and emotional self-protection patterns. Some people screenshot because they replay conversations endlessly in their minds and need a stable reference. Without the screenshot, their memory distorts your words, sharpening the negative and softening every comforting line. So they capture your message to argue with their own anxious thoughts later when the spiral starts. They reread it at 2 a.m., trying to decode hidden meanings, searching for signs of rejection or distance. This is not surveillance. It is a frightened nervous system trying to make sense of unpredictable emotional input. You may feel watched, but really they are watching themselves through your words again and again. It is exhausting for them, even when it looks calm and controlled from your perspective on the outside. Recognizing this can soften your reaction without excusing the behavior or pretending it does not affect you. You are not paranoid for noticing the pattern, and you are not heartless for wanting more privacy. Both can be true. Their wound is real, and your boundary is also valid in this dynamic. Now here is the identity reframe you may need to hear if this behavior has been done to you. You are not too much, too sensitive, too dramatic, or too intense for feeling uneasy about it. Your discomfort is data. It is your inner system noticing that something in the connection feels uneven. You sense that part of the conversation is being copied, shared, or stored in ways you cannot see. That awareness is not weakness. It is emotional intelligence that has been training quietly in the background. You are allowed to want conversations that stay where they began, between two people, without secret audiences. Wanting that does not make you controlling. It makes you someone who values intimacy over performance. Now let's talk about the practical shift, the one thing you can actually start doing differently from today. Begin writing as if your message will be read out loud one day, but do not shrink yourself. Stay honest, stay warm, stay real. Do not water down your truth just because someone might screenshot it. Instead, slowly notice who handles your words with care and who treats them like disposable little artifacts. Pay attention to who quotes you back accurately and who twists your sentences when retelling stories about you. Pay attention to who protects your vulnerability and who turns it into a punchline at gatherings. Over time, this quiet observation will reveal who deserves the deeper layers of your inner emotional world. You do not have to confront every screenshotter, and you do not have to expose every quiet betrayal. You only have to adjust how much access each person gets, based on what they consistently show you. Trust is not a switch. It is a dimmer, and you control how brightly it shines on someone. Some people earn full access. Some people earn surface chat. Some people earn polite distance and nothing more. That is not coldness. That is mature emotional self-respect, built from noticing patterns instead of ignoring them. Now here's the deeper truth this entire pattern points toward, the one most people quietly miss seeing clearly. Screenshotting without telling you is rarely about the screenshot itself. It is about emotional regulation gone sideways. It reveals people who have not yet learned how to feel safe inside an unfiltered, present, real-time connection. They reach for the camera because they have not yet built the inner steadiness to simply stay open. Understanding this does not mean tolerating it. It means seeing it for what it really is underneath. Some will grow out of it as they heal, learn, and build deeper trust in themselves and others. Some will keep doing it because their nervous system still believes safety lives in saved files and screenshots. Your job is not to fix them. Your job is to choose how close you stand to that pattern. You are allowed to share less. You are allowed to slow down. You are allowed to protect your softness. You are allowed to be warm, expressive, and emotionally rich without offering it to people who archive you silently. The right people will not need to capture your words because they will not be afraid of forgetting you. They will trust the connection, trust the moment, and trust that what is real does not need proof. That is the kind of presence worth opening up to, slowly, carefully, and with full awareness of who is listening. If this gave you a quiet sense of clarity, stay with this channel for more honest psychology explained simply. You are not paranoid, you are paying attention, and that quiet awareness is one of your strongest hidden gifts.